Gentlemen, welcome to the September 8th, 2015 meeting of the Downers Grove Village Council. It is my distinct privilege to call this meeting to order. Good evening. There are copies of our agenda on either side of the room. If you haven't already done so, you can pick one up and follow along with us tonight. There will be multiple opportunities for public comment, both with respect to the items that are on our agenda tonight, as well as a segment which is under item 4, which is reserved for public comments of a general nature with respect to items not on tonight's agenda. It is our proud custom to begin our meetings by reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. So I'd like to ask everyone in the room to please rise and join us in reciting the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you for coming out to this steamy September night. First item of business is to call the roll. If I could ask our village clerk, April Holden, to please call the roll.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Here.
Commissioner White?
Here.
Commissioner Vatimo?
Here.
Commissioner Jose?
Here.
Commissioner Olson?
Here.
Commissioner Barnett? Mayor Tully?
Here. Thank you. Brings us to item 3, which pertains to minutes of council meetings from prior meetings. We have one set of minutes to review and approve tonight, and those are our minutes from our September 1st, 2015 meeting. Are there any changes, corrections, comments, questions to those minutes?
Mayor Tully, I move to approve the minutes as presented.
I second the motion to approve the minutes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Terrific, those minutes are approved. And here we are, item 4, public comments of a general nature. If any of those in tonight's audience would like to raise any questions or comments of a general nature, the protocol is please come to the podium, introduce yourself, and we'd welcome hearing from you. Are there any questions or comments of a general nature from any members of the audience? Seeing that there are none, it's a long holiday weekend. We'll go right to item 5, which is our consent agenda. Just for those scoring at home, item D, 5D, has been removed and is being considered separately under tonight's active agenda. That would be Resolution 2015-6398. With respect to the balance of the consent agenda, do I have a motion to approve?
Mayor Tully, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented with the exception of item D.
I second the motion to approve the consent agenda.
Are there any questions or comments from any members of the audience with respect to the balance of the items on tonight's consent agenda? Seeing that there are none, are there questions or comments from any members of the Village Council with respect to the balance of the items on tonight's consent agenda? Hearing that there are none, may I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Olson?
Aye.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Vatimo?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. The consent agenda as changed passes unanimously. That brings us to item 6, our active agenda. We now have 5 items on our active agenda tonight. We'll take the ones that were already there. Let's start with item 6A as an apple. Do I have a motion to waive the first reading of an ordinance to adopt a text amendment to Article 9 of the Downers Grove zoning ordinance?
Mayor Tully, I move to waive the first reading of an ordinance to adopt a text amendment to Article 9 of the Downers Grove zoning ordinance as presented.
I second that motion.
Any questions or comments from the audience or from the Village Council? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Commissioner Olson?
Aye.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Vatimo?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. That passes unanimously. Brings us to item 6B as in boy. Do I have a motion to adopt an ordinance adopting a text amendment to Article 9 of the Downers Grove zoning ordinance?
Mayor Tully, I move to adopt an ordinance adopting a text amendment to Article 9 of the Downers Grove zoning ordinance as presented.
I second the motion for the text amendment.
Questions or comments from anyone in the room? Hearing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Olson?
Aye.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Vatimo?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. That also passes unanimously. Brings us to item 6C as in Charlie. Do I have a motion to adopt an ordinance authorizing a special use for 1001 31st Street to permit a warehousing business?
Mayor Tully, I move to adopt an ordinance authorizing a special use for 1001 31st Street to permit a warehousing business as presented.
I second that motion.
Questions or comments from anyone in the room on this item?
Mayor, should I comment?
Yes, you may. Commissioner Olson?
Thank you. I'm pleased to see this come forward. I recall it was a number of months ago when Commissioner Jose first reached out to me and mentioned that this item, that he'd interacted with some business owners and mentioned this item, and it's something that should come forward, and I'm very pleased to see that it's come forward. I want to thank the petitioner, and obviously the council and the staff for all their work on this item, and I'm pleased to see another opportunity for Downers Grove to be pro-business in this community. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner
With that,
White?
I'll jump in and add that I do recall sitting out in the audience before the election, hearing the presentation on this, thinking, it's a good idea. So I'm glad we're going forward.
And the trustees still think it's a good idea.
Well, yes.
We'll find out shortly. Commissioner Jose?
Thank you, Mayor. I too like to trumpet this. I think it's a good move for the village to have this piece of our zoning code in place, and I'm glad to see an innovative and thoughtful business taking advantage of it, and I look forward to supporting it. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Other questions or comments from the council? I won't add to what's already been said. It's been said that well. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Olson?
Aye.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Fatimo?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. That matter passed unanimously. It brings us to item 6D as in David. Do I have a motion to adopt the 2015-2017 long-range plan?
Mayor Tully, I move to accept the 2015-2017 long-range plan as presented.
I second the motion to adopt the long-range plan.
Questions or comments from anyone present here tonight? Hearing that there are no questions or comments, may I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Olson?
Aye.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Fatimo?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. The long-range plan has been accepted. And that will now bring us back to what was formerly item 5D. We'll take it up here under our active agenda. Do I have a motion to adopt a resolution awarding a 3-year contract extension to Andres Medical Billing Limited for medical billing services?
Mayor Tully, I move to adopt a resolution authorizing a 3-year extension to the contract between the Village of Downers Grove and Andres Medical Billing Limited as presented.
I second the motion for the contract extension.
Questions or comments from anyone present with respect to this item?
I thought you were looking for the public.
Anyone
Okay.
present?
Anyone, okay. Thank you, Mayor. I ask that this item be moved to the active agenda so I can make some comments. Typically, when we're talking about billing, medical billing and medical fees, I kind of miss Commissioner Schnell being up here because we always shared a concern for some of these fees and bills to go back to our taxpayers. And it was a concern of both of ours and if not additional council members. Imagine paying your tax bills, you're paying your property taxes for 5, 10, 20 years. And then one day you fall off a ladder, you run into a wall, you have a seizure, cut your finger, whatever, and you call 911 and Downers Grove sends one of their beautiful red trucks over, an EMS, and some very qualified people come out and they decide that they're going to give you a lift to Good Sam. They take you to Good Sam. Good Sam patches you up, sends you home. And now, sometime later, you may or may not get a bill for those services. And in some cases, you could be, for example, if you're on Medicare, let's say the trip is $1,000, just for math purposes. Medicare may say, well, we're only going to accept, you have to write off $500, so now you face a $500 bill. Medicare pays 80% of that, so they pay $400. And now there's a $100 bill left. If you have a Medigap policy, maybe they pick up the $100 and you never see a bill, and that's fine because we've collected revenue from an insurance company. Now, if you have another insurance company, they may do the same thing, but on the other hand, maybe that $1,000 bill, they pay 80%, they pay $800. Now you're left with, now there's a $200 balance. And so you are sent a bill for $200 and you're going, hey, I've been paying my taxes, what's going on here? Why am I getting billed? Now, if you listen to me and if you read the material in here, you will get a bill for the $200. And if you don't pay it after a period of time, you'll get another bill for $200. And if you don't pay that, about the time when it usually bills go into collection, it won't go into collection. So if you're reading the material and you don't pay, you don't pay. And there's no consequences. But that's only for people who pay attention. If you're listening, if you read the material, you know the process. Most people are going to work, they don't know about this, and they get that $200 bill, and they're very likely to write the check. And they're thinking, well, it's the government, the government's after me again, they wanted, and they may not think it's fair. Anyway, The point of all these fees and the billing is to make sure that we collect the money from the insurance companies. And that helps us keep the tax rates lower. You know, the cost of providing the service is less because we have a revenue source. But the purpose was not to collect $200. So what I'm suggesting is that if the council's kind of agrees that we should try and find a way to avoid billing the taxpayers and collecting from them. Possibly one way of doing it, to be fair, would be when Andrus sends out a bill to the taxpayer, the patient. Maybe there's an attachment that has a request for a waiver. Or maybe we adjust the policy for waivers so that this bill doesn't become due. There's, you aren't getting calls and all that. Your fee is going to be waived. And what I was hoping for is if council agrees, not in a vote or maybe a semi-head nod or let me know, I'd be happy to put it on a new business item to see if there's some way that we can avoid billing those residents. You also may recall some years ago, I believe it was on Route 41 in Wisconsin. It was foggy. There was a multi-car crash. Some people were killed. And shortly after, there was a lot of bad publicity for the local municipality that responded because they sent bills to the people that were to the families of the people that had passed. So, I think it's worth looking into, and might be a new business item. As far as the medical billing and this item, I do support it fully. Thank you, Mayor. Looking forward to any comments.
Thank you, Commissioner. And certainly perhaps with some additional information, might be something that can be entertained for a possible new business item. It sounds like you might want to allow everybody to think about what you've said a little bit before you bring it forward. So it sounds like there's no harm in that, certainly. We can all ask some questions and see whether it's something that perhaps might make sense as a new business item down the road. Is that consistent with your expectations?
Exactly.
Fair enough.
No, it isn't a rush. It's not a fire.
Understood. Thank you. Any other questions or comments from anyone in the room regarding this item? Hearing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Olson?
Aye.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Waldeck?
Aye.
Commissioner Patimo?
Aye.
Commissioner Jose?
Aye.
Mayor Tully?
Aye. Matter passes unanimously. That brings us to the end of our active agenda and on to item 7, our first reading or workshop agenda, when items are presented for consideration and discussion only. The vote will be taken, if at all, at a later point in time. Traditionally, we ask our fine village staff to present the item for discussion and consideration. We'll lead it off with our village manager, David Fieldman. Good evening.
Thank you, Mayor Tully. Good evening. Tonight, our fine village staff member presenting this item is our Assistant Public Works Director, Stan Balicki.
Good evening, Mr. Balicki.
Good evening. Thank you, Dave. A motion is requested to authorize award of a 3-year contract to Genuine Parts Company, also known as Napa Auto Parts, for a fleet parts and inventory program, services to buy parts at approved unit prices over the life of the contract for a not-to-exceed amount of $1,500,000. An RFP for this program and these services was advertised in accordance with village purchasing policy, and 2 responses were received, one from Napa and one from Factory Motor Parts. An evaluation team determined that Napa met the requirements of the evaluation criteria. This program privatizes the parts and inventory function in the Fleet Maintenance Division of Public Works. The Fleet Division is responsible for procuring parts and managing inventory for a wide-ranging selection of up to 385 pieces of equipment that it maintains. This program saves the village approximately $50,000 on average per year over the 3-year contract term. It reduces the village fleet by 1 vehicle and village staff by 0.5 FTE. Finally, the program increases productivity of the fleet staff by reducing the time spent waiting on parts, pricing parts, and tracking invoices and so forth. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for the presentation. Any questions or comments from anyone present here tonight in chambers? I'll just add, I think this is a really great example of smart outsourcing, where it makes sense. It doesn't always make sense, but here's one where I appreciate the time and evaluation that was undertaken in order to determine that this actually made a lot of sense for us, increased efficiency, reduced costs, which of course is something that we're always striving to do in a number of different ways. I appreciate staff bringing this forward. It's something that we're constantly asking you to do. It's part of that ultimate mission of doing more and more with less and less until eventually you have to do everything with nothing. So we appreciate this example of smart outsourcing, which I think makes a lot of sense. We'll obviously be very anxious to see how things pan out, and I'm sure we'll get a report down the road as to whether it's meeting with the expectations that are currently ascribed to it.
Thank you very much, Mayor. We will track this and report out the results. And with that, that ends our first reading tonight, Mayor.
Terrific, thank you. That brings us to item 8, the mayor's report. Not so much a report, but one thing I want to raise is I know a number of us had received either emails or phone calls regarding the mosquito spraying that took place on September 2nd. And there's a fair amount of concern, I can't tell how widespread it is, but enough that there was a dozen or so points of contact with folks who are a little concerned about the nature of the spraying exercise and the materials involved in the spraying and why spraying is being done. And I know that the notification worked really well because that's why we got the phone calls and the emails. So good on the notification. And obviously our website has a pretty good section as to not only the advent of the mosquito spraying, but also the reasons for it, with links to the DuPage County Health Department and the CDC, which provide information for those who want to dig into it as to why this is being done. I'm wondering whether there might be a way to be even more proactive about the identification of the type of spraying, the reason for the spraying, and that this is not for nuisance mosquitoes. It really are for the Culex mosquitoes, which are the ones that are the vector-borne, the ones that have that carry the vector-borne diseases like West Nile virus. And so it really is a public safety issue. And if you look at the CDC website, the DuPage County Health Department website, it really is for public safety for that kind of mosquito, not what they call a nuisance mosquito, which is a different variety. I just don't know if people then necessarily get the phone call and go to the next step of the website, and the next step of visiting the DuPage County Public Health Department, the CDC. If you do all that, then you might come to a realization, oh, I see, I don't want to get West Nile virus, which probably all of us know someone who's contracted West Nile virus through a mosquito bite. I know I have, and it's not fun. It's potentially deadly, and has been deadly. So that's the reason behind it. And while there certainly can be differences of opinion regarding mosquito spraying for nuisance purposes, there is a legitimate public health rationale behind it. Putting that information out maybe in the phone calls so that folks can see why. I don't know if that would add an undue burden to the length of the message or dilute the message. I just raise it as a question because I know that a number of us did receive some elevated concerns that were communicated by residents.
Will do. Thanks, Mayor.
So that's all I have to report out on. That brings us to item 9. Back to you, Mr. Fielderman, manager's report.
No report tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
And then to your left, Madam Attorney, Ms. Petrarca.
No report, Mayor, thank you.
And see, and I did that even though you weren't on the list. That brings us to council member reports. Do any members of the village council have any items of interest they'd like to report out or share with the rest of the community? Commissioner Olson, you can hardly contain your enthusiasm.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to just report out that this weekend, on Saturday, the 12th of September, the District 58 Education Foundation is having its second annual Oktoberfest street festival. It's going to be right outside the train station on Burlington Avenue, similar location as last year. It's going to be going on all afternoon on the 12th. Some great live entertainment. If you go to the District 58 Education Foundation's website, you can take a look at the entertainment schedule. Great entertainment. There's kids activities during the day, and just want to encourage members of the community to come out and support a great cause. I'm very pleased to serve on that board supporting the Education Foundation and the kids in the District 58 schools, and I hope that many people in the community will come out and support what should be a great event, and knock on wood, hopefully the weather will stay in some sort of a pleasant fashion and not rain. Thank you, Mayor.
And hopefully there'll be fewer mosquitoes to contend with.
At least those containing West Nile virus.
Yes, at least the Culex ones. Other questions, other items of interest that other members of the council? Commissioner Jose?
Thank you, Mayor. Sticking with the educational theme, and this is usually more the purview of Commissioner Olson, but the Lester PTA's running of the Leopards 5K is coming up on Sunday, September the 27th. Starts at 9 a.m. with the 1 mile Kids Dash, and the larger race kicks off at 9:30. It's chip timed, and it's the 5K, of course, winding its way through the Lester neighborhood. You can learn more at www.lesterpta.com. And they ask you to please register by September 11th if you'd like to get the Fun Run t-shirt. Thanks very much, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Waldeck?
Just a reminder that if you're attending the Oktoberfest, also is that's the second Oktoberfest, was it?
Second, yes.
Yeah, well, this is the 39th Annual Art Festival from the Downtown Management Corporation, so be sure to hit both events and choose whether you prefer having a liquid refreshment before enjoying art or vice versa. And I implore the mayor to invoke whatever powers he has for the good weather.
I'll do my best.
Thank you.
Because there's a lot going on in Downers Grove this weekend. So to the extent that anyone is at a loss for things to do this weekend, a number have already been mentioned, but literally in the same 2 days, we have the Downtown Farmers Market, which is taking place on Saturday morning. We have the Oktoberfest that's taking place this weekend. The Fine Arts Festival, as was just mentioned by Commissioner Waldeck. And of course, the Grove Foundation is also holding their annual golf outing on Saturday, September 12th, at the best golf course in the United States, the public course here in Downers Grove. It's their traditional fundraiser, and that kicks off around, I believe, 1 o'clock or so. If you haven't had a chance to sign up, I'm sure they'll find a spot for you. And if not, you can join for dinner afterwards or otherwise participate in supporting a good cause. So there's a lot going on in Downers Grove this weekend. And on that note, because we have the Fine Arts Festival, the Indian Boundary YMCA Farmers Market, and the Oktoberfest all happening not only in close proximity to one another, but at the same time, basically. We're going to have a unique convergence of events that we have not experienced before. And I want to thank in advance the various organizations who have been involved in coordinating the logistics to make that happen, including our own staff. But obviously would like to see how that all works out this year. I know there have been some issues in the past with some logistical conflicts. I think it has all been worked out, but there are still some who are skeptical, so hopefully everything will go well without a hitch. We'll have good weather, and we'll have a good time. All organizations will have successful events, and we won't have to make any major changes next year, but I think we would all probably like a little bit of a report on how things went after this weekend. So I'm going to divide up the whole council, and we're all going to be stationed at different events. So we'll talk about that later.
Now, we'll each circulate to different events at different times.
Okay. Well,
Stay at the beer tent.
we can't all keep.
I'll volunteer.
All right, Commissioner Vitimo's got the first station. Anything else in terms of report outs from any members of the council? All right, very good. And then we'll move on to any items of new business that any members of the village council have at this point in time. Any items of new business?
Mayor Tully, I move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Let's do that. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We're adjourned. Thank you and good night.